Nice. Yeah, I think I'm probably good for now, but thank you. Alrighty. So, I think where I left off, there was still some stuff to clean up with the well, we're making the game right now. We're making the game. Yeah. We live on the internet. We streaming. Hungry Kitty, yes, for sure. See you soon. So we go. Continue. So, here's the problem. Well, there's several problems. There's several problems. We'll say we put in 3 cartridges. That all works great. Right? And then we feed 1 cartridge, and it's pretty cool because you actually hear the cartridge pick up. But we do that. First of all, we need to get ejecting working. But then also, we've emptied the magazine, which actually should happen. So that's fine. Yeah, before we get too far into like trying to correct every tiny little thing about the current situation, um, let's make the weapon eject. Because what should happen, right, is rounds in the chamber, right? You're gonna rack this and it's gonna go wee! It's gonna go spit that one out of there. Oh, kitty, you ate that too fast. She barfing her kibble. Kitty, you had too much to eat today. I'm gonna start having to read the label on the box a little more carefully and giving you the right amount of food. Alright. So anyhow, um we we racked this and that round is gonna come popping out of there, right? Here, let's go this way so you can see. Right, so it's gonna go wee, right? We use a little more speed, it's gonna go flying a little faster. Nope. Actually double fed that one. Oops. That's not what you want. One more try. There we go. That's what it's supposed to do. So that's what we're gonna try to program here. And where'd that other one go? That's okay, I'll find it in a minute. Make this safe. Got one in here still, so let's bump that out of there. Now we're clear. Good, good, good. All right. So, what we want to do next is eject it. You doing okay, kitty cat? So, let's get in here. Sorry, that distracted me a little bit. I think she's okay. Doing good. And we do something similar here with the acorns. So when you shoot the acorn, it completely deparents it, and then it just goes falling. Um, so I think we're going to want to do something, and it imparts a little bit of velocity to it, and that applies gravity and all sorts of stuff. So we could like program kind of like we do for feeding. We could program like a gradual ejection, like it starts popping out of the. If you go slowly, it'll pop out just like whoop, and then whoop. I don't think we need to mess with that. I think it can be fairly instantaneous. If you pull the slide back past a certain point, that the ejector um, hits the back of that cartridge, it's gonna pop it out, and that's fine. Now, if you pull the slide back slowly, that can cause it to affect the velocity of how fast we shoot that round out. That's fine. That'll be easy. Um, but it's going to be an instantaneous. Once it cuts off, once it goes past a certain point, we're just going to move it. So let's move it. Um, so if we go in the script here, and for starters, let's just delete it. Let's make it really easy. First off, um, look in the script here. Okay. So on slide motion here. So if a magazine inserted and percent open is over the 95%, slide ready to strip around is true. And what we really should say here, and this is an easy fix. All right, brief kitty cleanup interlude. Be right back. Found that extra round that squirreled off on me. All right. Cool. So that, even by itself, should help us, and we can test this actually. That was gonna happen. Here's another error case that we should adjust for. It shouldn't let it. Let's see if I can make that happen again. Yeah. It's because it's latched. Yeah. That's easy to fix, I think. That's going to be under the start drag, I think. Okay, on magazine. Click event. Where does that code live? So it emits an I'm dragged moving event. Does the gun listen to that? Maybe this right here. Oh no, it's going to be magazine input event. That's what it is. Where is that though? There it is. It's just all ran together. That's why I didn't see it. All right. So this isn't what we want to look at. We don't want to look at magazine.latch. We want to look at magazine.fully inserted. Yeah. And that should fix that problem. So, see how we've let go of it? So prior to just now, if I were to try to re-drag, re-pick up the magazine and pull it out, it wouldn't let me, giggity, because this is technically in the latched position. But it's in the latched position, but the magazine's all the way out, right? So it's not actually holding it. So now we should be able to re-grab it. And that's good. So that fixes that bug. Nice. Cool. Awesome. So now we should be able to do this. Hey, kitty. You feeling okay? I think she's feeling fine. She just ate a little too quick, you know? All right. Oh, that looks good in full speed, too. So here's the next point. That shouldn't... Oh, it is, though. It is still removing rounds. Why is it still removing rounds? Because we added this. Is this value set in other places? There we go. This is why. Okay, so think about the logic here a little bit, right? No matter what, go pop some caps, kitty cat. If if the slide is open past a certain point, the gun is capable of stripping around if then a mag is inserted, right? And well, and here's an interesting point. Oh, we could get really. Hmm. We don't have to get that fancy with it. I was thinking there's actually a third state here where like yeah, if it's pushed back past a certain point, it's ready to strip around, right? But if there's no magazine present and then you pull it back in a little bit and then you were to insert a magazine, it's not going to actually pick up a round in reality. In the game, I don't think I'm going to get that detailed with it. We could, without too much trouble. How would that look like? Right? Because then there's a third state called stripping round currently, right? And it's in progress of stripping around, right? Um, right. Be like Benedict Cumberbatch and like scratch my head with the gun. That'd be very stupid. Um, uh, right. So if it's open all the way and there is a magazine present, then it enters a third state or a second state or whatever called, you know, round currently being stripped. Right. So the only reason we have this toggle is so that it doesn't pick up a round unless the slide is open enough to touch that round. Right. The other option is as soon as it picks up that round, another it was it's potato potato, but we set another flag that's called uh something. We just we pick it up the round already at that point. Now, here's the other thing. So if we look at this, right? right now, if we look at it right now, I think it does this correctly already. Oh, can we fix this and then keep going? No. Doesn't really matter how many we put in here, so this is fine. This just demonstrates the point. If we go back and then forward a little bit and then back again, see how it stays there. It's just nudged that cartridge forward a little bit out of that magazine, right? But it's not quite out. And that's the same with where we're at in the game here. That's good. We can keep nudging it out of there. See that? And we can actually pull this magazine back out because video game physics, right? Except we can't because we can't hold 3 things in our hands at once. Yeah. That's okay. That's actually good. But you can see that there's some space back there, and you can see as it's pushing out of there. And then right when we pop it out, boop, and then it moves. See? Which is good. But how do we program that so that it doesn't incorrectly pick up around when it shouldn't? Yeah, I think we need one more flag to do this right. Technically. Right? Um, partially stripped round equals false. So, okay. Okay. And then this whole function is just saying the slide moved. Slide moved. And we have a couple absolutes here. And this one takes place at the beginning, before any other logic happens. If there's a magazine fully inserted, and the gun has a magazine in its inventory, those things should be mutually exclusive, but we can check them both, so that's fine. And the slide is back far enough to pick up the next round, and there's not already a cartridge captive in the slide, then we can mark it as slide ready to strip round is true. And we should also now specify It's a little bit of a mouthful, but it makes sense. Right. So then, on the other hand, and now does the order of this matter? If, so 70%, open is less than 95% and not. Okay. I think that works. I think I might be making this overly complicated. I think there's maybe easier ways to do that with fewer criteria. That's kind of weird. Why does that trigger the hitbox when I'm way over here? See that? That shouldn't happen. That's kind of weird. The hitboxes in Godot sometimes wig me out. I don't know quite how they work. Well, there's margins. The margins are weird, and let's take a look at that actually real quick. So if we look at the 3D view here and we look at the margin on this guy, because I'm dealing with such small dimensions, that makes weird things happen. Right here, see this margin? We want it to be as small as possible. That should fix it. I forgot. Yeah. That is a known weird thing that I've ran into before. Now look, now I don't have to worry about that. It goes in if I want it to go in, giggity, but otherwise it does not. So, it's good. Nice. That works much better. Okay. Pop. And I goofed it up. I goofed it up. Okay. Let's look. Right, I should probably put some print statements in here, and then let's take this a little slower. You probably don't need this nested quite the way it is. we could at least uh, get rid of one level of indentation there that we don't need. Okay. All right. So if there's an inserted magazine and the slide is all the way open and there's no round that's already being held by the extractor, the slide doesn't already have a round slotted into it, and that's not a partially stripped round, then say slide ready to strip around is true. And print this. If it's closing and there's an inserted magazine and it's fully inserted, and if percent open is greater than 70% and slide is ready to slip around, strip around, we need to put these in parentheses. That might be part of the issue. If slide ready to strip around, then partially stripped is true and slide ready to strip is false. Then it runs this. Put here. Otherwise, it's less than or equal to, maybe, 70 and partially stripped round and inserted magazine and really this should be over here as well. Right, really all of this should be within a block that says there's at least a cartridge in the magazine. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Slide ready to strip round. Glad you're comfortable, kitty cat. It's a little bit weird angle for my legs, but that's all right. Gotta make sure the cat's happy, you know? All right. Scoot a little closer to the computer without disrupting. Yeah, I think that works. Okay. All right. Now, we don't need this statement here because we're already within this block there. Okay. I don't think we fixed the issue there, but it may have been the fact that we didn't have parentheses around that if condition clause, so let's try it. Let's try it and see if that was the trick. I don't have to... Well, there, it caught it. I don't have to exaggerate this motion nearly quite so badly because we fixed the margins on that hitbox. That was good. All right. Now, let's give this a go. So before, last time we tried this, it didn't actually pick up the round like we want it to. That time it did. That's cool. Now, there should still be 2 rounds left in the magazine. That's what we're wanting to check here. Good. There are. Now, the magazine didn't correctly push up those rounds, and that's easy enough to fix. There's 2 ways we could do that, but I think the easiest is just to do it in the magazine code. there's one other thing I want to check too, so let's do this in a few places. So we're calling give up cartridge. Give up cartridge right here. We could also just call tidy. I think the give up cartridge should call it. Okay. There's two things I kind of want to try. One is, let's make sure that worked. Put 3 in again. The other thing I want to try is, can it, if I kind of progressively push it in, does it still work? Yeah, it looks like it does. And you can see those rounds still in there, so we know it's not incorrectly stripping extra rounds now, which is good. Yeah, and then it's sliding them up as it goes, which is good. Cool. Very cool. And that's true. You can get into that scenario, right? Where you have a removed magazine, right? So we close the slide, right? It's gonna strip around. There it comes, right? Up and into the chamber. Just like in our game, right? And then we remove the magazine. No magazine, right? But there's still that round in there. Right? And you can see it. There's that round. Right? Cool. We're good. Clear. So, it's not inherently inaccurate. Uh, right now we've got the magazine out, but then there's also this round still floating around in here. But if we pull this all the way back, that should kick it out. Right. And not when it's all the way back. It's when it's a certain of the way back. Certain portion of the way back. Yeah, it's probably going to be hard to show on the camera, but there's a little rod that sticks through the slide, right, like this. And when that cartridge is held right here, but the slide moves back far enough, oh boy, it will punch out that cartridge, and that cartridge goes flying out. See, now I kind of have to show you, otherwise you'll think I'm crazy. Not going to be able, right there, there you can see it. If I have a pen, I'm not going to be able to move without upsetting the cat. Well, that's alright. That, you know what I mean. That little, not this is the extractor, but the ejector is inside here. And it's a similar little bar right under my finger right there. That guy. Yeah. And you'll notice as I move this slide, that little piece remains fixed. See that? It's not attached to the slide. So it punches them out. It, bam, pops that cartridge out of there. Anyway. So at the point that it's coming back and it bumps into that fixed post, it kicks that shell out the side. So let's call it 90% open or what have you. So for right now, let's just delete it. as a start, let's just go gone. Um, so let's go in here to the gun. So on slide motion, right? How do we delete something in Godot again? Is it dot unlink? Uh, I know that's probably not it. Uh, we'll see it here if we do give up magazine, right? We can use that as an example. The other one. Maybe we put it in here. Remove child. Easy. There we go. All right, forgive me, I'm a little sleepy. All right. It's the child of the slide, so slide.remove child. Okay, I think that works. Give it a go. So right now we're just gonna delete it. We're just gonna delete that cartridge. And the cool thing here is we can put 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say. It's going to be a ton, but there's 5, right? So it's 1. Then as we pull it back, it's going to delete that cartridge. It's going to eject it, but we're just deleting it right now, right? Boop, it's gone. There we go. We just ejected it, right? 2. Boop. 3. Boop. 4. Boop. 5. And now we should be out. Boop. And that's it. Cool. Now we'll have to look up if the Makarov has a lock open on empty effect. Gosh, there's a lot to consider here. Yeah. Let's look that up right now. I'm curious. Because that actually is going to be kind of cool to program. Hang on, let's get out of here first. Okay. I think I've been on this thread before. It's meant to have a magazine hold open. So that is definitive. Uh, it is meant to be held open. Cool. So let's bite off one thing at a time, but eventually, uh, and this is not going to be too hard to do, I don't think, and maybe we should do it now while we're thinking about it. But if magazine is empty, oh boy. All right, here we go. Okay, there we go. Empty magazine. Right. Put that in the gun, right? Now, if all I do is grab this and pull it back and then let go, it's going to stay open. In fact, I cannot push it. I can't push it forward, right? Because the empty magazine is automatically lifting up this slide stop, right? And if I take the magazine out, of course, now it's no longer doing that. So if I even just pull it back a little bit, we can see it from this side. So you can watch this lever. Watch this lever right here, right? Pull this back a little bit. Pretty subtle, but it goes back down. Goes back down, this guy. Right? And I'll show you that again. If I put in the magazine again, right? Watch that lever is going to lift up. See that? You see how it lifts up and now it's going to drop down. Again, this lever right here. See that? This is moving as I mess with the magazine. And that is pretty cool. Oof. That's a couple extra things for us to program, though. That's a couple extra things for us to program. What would that look like? What would that look like? Well, these spare rounds are in my way. There we go. We look at the slide. Drag code. Now here's a good question. Let's say we take this magazine out of here, right? And the slide is closed, right? We still can still fiddle with that, right? And that's true in our game as well, right? Right, so. Yeah, we just can't go as far, right? Oh. This would be interesting. Is a cool part here is ideally the interaction between the parts where there's a physical spring pushing on something is actually handled as much as it can be, you know, at that component level. And then the other components that it depends on, just listen for inputs from that item. So if we do this right, we actually only need to change the code on the slide stop on this guy. The actual slide stop lever, right? This guy. There we go. And then if we program it right, when you insert, when the magazine is empty, it'll flip up that lever automatically because we've programmed the slide stop lever to work properly. And then the slide, because it's listening to the slide stop, is going to just work. That would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, let's have a look at this. So the slide stop, parents call functions. Children and siblings communicate with signals. So the gun is really managing the magazine in this instance. So the magazine's going to call, the gun's going to call a function. Now, well, the other option, I think the magazine, the slide stop lever and the magazine physically interact. So kind of like the trigger and the hammer, they should have a reference to each other. Otherwise, we're going to have to be continually updating each other about their state, and that's not what we want. Um, yeah. And even better, we could have um, a reference to the gun, really. And that's probably the way we should do it, period. Okay. Now, at this point, we could just say parent. But I suppose I like, I'm not sure what the right way to do this is. I kind of like that. Okay. And then here on the ready, here we go. It's a little goofy one. But we can't just pass it the magazine because different magazines are going to rotate in, so we need to give it, yeah. Now what we could do is we could have a little helper function here. Um, I didn't mean to do that. That's okay. Still works. What would you call this? Separation of concern? Or encapsulation? Alright, that works. Now, process. It needs to be fully seated as well. Oh boy. Okay, screw this. We actually do need this more tight coupling in this case. That's okay. What's the magazine fully inserted? Oh, equal equals. Oops. Identifier magazine isn't declared. Ah. Alright. Isn't this clean code? Maybe there's a better way to do this, but well, that didn't work. Now it did. Okay, that's working as it should. Oh, that should still let me grab it. That's another bug. That's another bug. Okay, we can fix that real quick. Okay. Okay, this is a little bit confusing, but you can move the magazine around, right? If, if you click with the left mouse button and this statement is true. Magazine is not fully inserted or so either of these have to be true. The magazine is not latched. Let's try it. We should still be able to remove the magazine in this configuration. We have to hold this mag release open because it doesn't have any spring force to pop it out for us one-handed, but we should still be able to grab it. Then once we latch it, we should not be able to move it because it is both fully inserted and latched. Okay. Oh boy. All right. This is getting a little messy. Um, okay. So it should be pushing this guy up right now. And it kind of isn't at all. So what's up with that? We can get rid of that ready message right there. Time flies when you're having fun, though. Gosh, I always go, okay, I'm just gonna spend 20 minutes on this. I feel intimidated by it. I'm just gonna. You don't have to do an hour. You can just sit down and do 20 minutes, and then you look at the clock and you go, wow, that was an hour. That was 2 hours. You know, this is a fun project. I do like it. It is kind of enjoyable. All right. Um, we removed that print statement, right? I didn't delete something else. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, we don't need it. We can rewrite that line if we need it. So we look at the slide stop again. So if not dragged or held, and the slide is not held by the slide stop, this process is ran every frame. Right? If Makarov Eject inserted magazine. So first of all, are we correctly setting that Makarov reference? We might not be. That's true. Can we use self in GD script? Looks like we can. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I think we can. Or we could just call parent. Let's just add some debug statements to make sure. Well, here's a question. Do we have mag release mapped? We do. Oh, well, here. This is our problem, actually, right here. So this can be easy enough. Yeah, let's not make this more complicated than it needs to be. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Right. Yeah, we need this to be its own function. Okay, so let's just do that there, but then we can do it here too. Now we can put this actually at the bottom because it may travel beyond that point. Hey, Captain Furball, good to see you. How's your day been? I have a real furball in my lap currently, which is kind of fun. I'm a little bit trapped, but there she be. Yeah, probably getting close to done. Uh, haven't been on for too long, but I'm a lazy streamer. I just go for a few minutes here, a few minutes there, you know? Any news on the game test position? Still looking into that? This might work. This might work. I'm kind of curious. What we're doing right now is bummer. I mean, you could have done the best interview in the world, and at a certain point, they're just gonna flip a coin, you know. So I wouldn't sweat it too hard. It's all good practice, right? Here, let me get this background music out of the way. But kind of a thing where you were expecting to hear from them by now, kind of thing. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Uh, so uh, more excuses to play with guns, right? Uh, the hold open lever, right? This guy right here, uh, will actually move on its own if we put an empty magazine in, right? So if you watch that lever, right? This guy right here, we put this in there. Get the light. There you go, so you can see it. Now I'm gonna pop it out. See it move? It's kind of subtle, but this moves when you put that magazine in. So that's what we're trying to make work in the game because that's what causes it to, if I've got this magazine in here, it's going to stay open on an empty magazine. If I take the magazine, yeah, ever so slightly, yeah. If I take the magazine out, it doesn't stay open. But if I put the magazine in, because it's going to lift that lever up for us, there it goes. Now it does stay back. So that's what we're doing right now. And I think I just got it, but I don't know. So let's see. Let's see. So we put this in there so it can move a little. That. You see it? It moved up. It moved up in the game. That's the first time that's worked. You have good timing. And now, hopefully, I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but if we rack the slide back, it should hold it open. Let's see. And now if we take the magazine out, and we do this. Drops forward. Same thing. So that kind of combines nicely with the other thing we got done. So it's ejecting right now. Thank you, thank you. Yes, progress. Um, let's put 5 in, right? So I've been doing this too much. So I've got my bullets all over the table. But if I put a couple in here, right? Yeah. OBS. There we go. Right, and then we load that in as you do. So, whoop, right in there, just like in the game. It's cool. But now it's gonna go spitting out of there, right? Whee! uh, Empty, so we're safe. But we're at that point where it should spit them out now. Um, and it right now I'm just deleting them if it's supposed to spit them out, but we'll actually have them like fly and fall and stuff, but that'll be next. So we put that in, and then we load that in like that. I went too fast. We go back, we go back, we go back, and then it's just gonna disappear. Go boop, gone. Do it again. Boop. And this is the last one. And now it stays open. So that's cool. Oh, I can't. I'm in the way. Sorry. Let's do that. Let's do that again. We have more bullets, not to worry. Put 3 in, so 3 there. And then we go like this. So there it's in. And there we go out and boop. It's gone. So that's the third one, and then stuck. Oh, I lied. That's not working. That's not working. Ah. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, there's a bug here. I shouldn't be able to force it forward. That shouldn't work. That shouldn't work. How do we fix that? Uh, it should be in the slide code. So right here in the slide, max open, and we clamp it, but we should change how we clamp it. So do we have a reference here to the slide stop? We do. And we look at this in the process. Yeah. So here we go. Let's put this out in its own function. And what did I call this? Current min z. And let's put this in here. And I'm just going to make this a property. So is it normal for recruiters to send an interview survey before the hiring process is completed? I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Uh, but I wouldn't doubt it, I guess. Um, yeah, and I mean, there might be different processes around the world. That's not something I've heard of, but I've also uh, been lucky, and a lot of the jobs I've worked have been like through friends who like were looking for uh usually at the end. Right. Yeah, I mean that would make sense, I guess. No, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. Uh what kind of questions are they asking you? Like yeah, it's probably legit. Uh like did we do a good job as a recruiter or things like that? Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I'm no help. Let's see. Current minimum Z. So let's put this over here and make it a parameter. So let's just assume they rejected my application because they sent the survey. Oh, I wouldn't think necessarily. Um, yeah, I would more think like, and even then, sometimes you can interview and then like a couple weeks later they call you back. Like you never know. But yeah, I'd say more of if you hadn't heard from them in a while. Nice. Oh, so when you say recruiter, it's employee of the company where you applied, right? It wasn't like a third party recruiting agency or talent scouting thing or whatever. Hmm. Yeah, that's a little different too. I don't know. 'Cause then maybe, I guess. Gotcha. Maybe. Yeah, if you've sent them an email after asking for a follow-up and you didn't hear anything back, uh then maybe that means they've already found someone or something. But yeah, I don't know. I would say as long as they haven't I think that you usually will get a rejection letter if they've said like, "Hey, we found someone," you know? So as long as you haven't gotten that per se, in my very limited knowledge, I would think it's not a done deal, but what do I know? I don't know. Yeah, that sounds kind of goofy. Sorry. That's and I've not heard about that survey thing before, so that is a little goofy too. Current minimum Z, and the default value of this is gonna be uh in battery, I think. Which one of these numbers is lower? Negative 48 or negative 15? Negative 48 is lower. Yeah, that should be right. See. No, I'm with you for sure. It always sucks when people don't get back to you or whatever. Uh, which I can be guilty of too if I'm like super busy, but I always try to reply to emails at work and stuff, whatever, as long as I'm not like ridiculously swamped. Current minimum Z. This? Oh yeah, I could have just looked there and it would have told me to. And then that. So now over here. Yeah, true, possible. If they've not gotten back to you, that's a little weird, especially if you were like, if they're like, okay, we're considering two people, it's Captain Furball and this other person, and you were emailing them, I would more think they'd be getting back to you. Yeah, so maybe they've already got someone and they just are lazy and didn't send out a note to, I don't know. But best of luck, regardless. I'm sure there's other opportunities that are similar that'll come up along the road. So if not that one, another one. So it's all good. Uh, this here, yeah. So now instead of doing this, we're gonna do this, just so we like don't repeat ourselves. And then we'll also call it while we drag. So here we're gonna call it here. And then we're gonna clamp it off of this. That's still fine. think that's all still fine. Okay, I think that might work. For sure, for sure. Okay, put that in. That little latch moves up. Now, I shouldn't be able to force it closed. That's working now. But then, if I remove the magazine, then it lets me shoot it forward. Cool. Sweet. That works like it's supposed to work. Country isn't really big. Goes to gaming interesting. Gaming industry feels like a lifetime opportunity. No, I mean, I guess I'm not there, so I can't say for sure. But uh, yeah, I mean, plenty of stuff is remote too, right? So uh, even if it was something out of the country, I'm sure there's plenty of things up the street. It works. It works. This is true. Uh, and you know, uh, maybe the gaming industry will grow. Maybe uh, you'll start something and you'll be part of the new wave of gaming companies in the country. I don't know. Uh, yeah, there it is. So I think we're set. That we kind of uh, went on a little bit of a tangent to fix this slide not working, but that's done. This is good. Uh, so now I'd rather not just delete the cartridge. We want it to actually like go wee and fly off. And we actually already do that with the if we switch to our gun that can shoot for a second. We already do that for our oops. There we go. Acorns. These guys. So these are currently in like a little spinner parent object that's kind of bouncing and spinning them a little bit. But when we shoot them, they are reparented to the global top level, and then we just give them a little bit of a velocity vector, right? And then we apply gravity, and they just go boink. Here, let's hit one of these ones so we can actually see it bounce a little bit. If I still have a bullet left. Yeah. So they kind of bounce, bloop, bloop, bloop. So same idea, but with the cartridges. So we want to move it to a new spot. So let's see. Let's go to the gun here. And then let's take the slide. What's its current location in the Z direction? Negative 48. Let's just kind of move it back like that. So now let's look at the frame. Let's add a child position and call this cartridge eject position. And then let's put a cartridge there, just so we can kind of see where it should be. Rotate it the right way. Put it in the right spot, and then we're going to rotate it a little bit that way, I think. A little bit the local rotation space. Or we can just change the order in which we do those two things. tilt it up a little bit, like maybe that much. And then tilt it this way a bit, maybe that much. Let's move it like right there, say. And it's gonna be coming out of the window, so like I don't want to move it too much, otherwise it's gonna look like a weird animation. So that's probably good. Kind of hard to see. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more, but this is as far as Godot will let us zoom, so it is what it is. But yeah, I think that's all right. Absolutely, yeah, we're gonna spin it. Uh, so for starters, I'm just gonna translate it and move it and apply gravity and that sort of thing, and then yeah, we'll just give it some rotational velocity as well. So it's gonna be fun. Uh, this is just kind of like its launching off position. Um, so I think right there will do all right, and we can always tweak and play with it, but that's a good starting spot, I think. So we can go ahead and delete this for now. Then we're going to put slide back to where it's normally. So negative 48. Go. So let's look here. So I'm going to use that acorn as an example. So let's look in the game. And then there we go. Okay, so here's the script here. Okay, nope, that's not the problem, or that's not the right file. There we go. This is going to be the right file. So self.set as top level. That's going to be the key right here. Here we go. Yep. Here. Now, we want this logic to actually live in the cartridge. So what if we just do this? We just say here. Right now, we're removing the child right here. And then we could say and eventually we can give it a parameter here to tell it how fast it's going to go. We'll just go with that. And then let's go to our actual cartridge here. Um, Now let's give it a new function here. And then I'm going to use a lot of the same methods from over here. So it's going to need a velocity and a gravity vector. Right. All right. And then really this is all going to be the same. So here, right? Now, in this case, nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I only know like enough to be dangerous in terms of modeling, but it's a lot of fun. Um, you do most of that in Blender kind of thing? What kind of project are you making a Glock for? Sounds cool. Velocity. So in this case, um, yeah, how are we gonna? We're gonna need eject. What if we give it, pass it Blender? Nice, yeah. Now it's kind of interesting how successful Blender is now. Like, in high school when I was doing some modeling, like there's this super old program called Animator, with the number 8. I wonder if that's still even around. I mean, it's gotta be, right? Nice, 100%. Yeah, this is the first 3D modeling program I ever used. Good times. These aren't my projects, but this is the kind of program. Good times. I always have a difficult time keeping like my mesh clean, like uh and like symmetrical. I feel like uh yeah, it's hard. And I probably do a lot of things like just the really slow way. Like I'll just click on animator. I think it's less easy to use than Blender. I think Blender's definitely my favorite now. Like it was pretty clunky. It's just made by one dude back in like 2002 or something, right? As opposed to Blender, which has, the force of the whole community around it. But it was fun, and I don't think Blender existed at that point, or it wasn't open source at that point or whatever. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, no, there'll be like a Blender shortcut that would do the thing I'm doing like in a minute, and I do it like in 10 minutes just by like moving every single individual vertice. But if it works, it works. Totally. Yeah, no, it's tricky. It's tricky stuff. Fun stuff, but tricky stuff. Uh, so I think I'm gonna have to pass this in a vector to, so that we know which way it should move. Um, uh, Wect vector, direction vector. Even just pass it in. Okay. So then here's a question: how might we see? 'Cause a vector here in this case is going to be an x, y, and z, right? It's going to just be three values. So we can do this, and we can use a normal. Let's see. My cartridge eject position. And what if we do change to local space? Here we go. Oh, I goofed. I goofed. Okay, that's okay. We can fix it pretty easily. That's all right. That's all right. It's actually probably a good thing. When I did this the first time, I did it wrong, and that's fine. Cartridge, let's do this again. I moved the child instead of moving the parent, which is what I wanted to do. Um, so let's take the slide and let's move it back to the open spot right there. Let's take this, and we want to make sure we move the parent this time. There we go. Okay. Flip it around. Okay, and then get it kind of in the window there. That looks right. And then let's give it a little tilt, because it should spit out. Actually going to spit out pretty much straight to the left and up. So what if we just kind of rotate it like this? Okay. And then we say the positive y vector is the ejection angle. We just point that right out that window. See? It's like that. This arrow is going to show the direction we want it to go flying, you know? So then here, where we go, here, look at this. Here we go. We call eject. We're going to pass in this guy dot origin dot y, and that's the direction. And then the speed times 5, let's say. We can just kind of play with it in terms of the speed. Well, actually 5 might be ridiculously huge. Let's just try 1.0 or 0.5, 0.1. I just don't want it to go flying so fast that we can't see it the first time around, you know? Let's try that. Let's try that. Okay, we need to put some things back together here, so make sure we can go ahead and delete this. Let's put slide back again. 48. All right. Yeah, that's still in the right spot. Okay. All right. That's a lot of untested code, so it's probably not going to work the first time. But let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. Put some rounds in there. Right? Here we go. Okay, it did something. It did something. It's got it in there backwards. Oh yeah, it set it at top level. Look at that. Oh, interesting, but it's gone. It disappears. Where does it disappear? Right, so that's good. See how it's setting it at the top level. Okay. Right. I mean, that could just be because I've got my velocity stuff wrong. Uh, yeah, it's rotated around the wrong way. It's rotated around the wrong way. um, and then it's well, and we might just not even be moving it yet. So yeah, let's do a couple things. Let's do a couple things. Let's see why it's not moving. So let's look at the cartridge. So we set the velocity, but we never move it with the velocity. That's the first problem. Um, so if we look at the physics process here, this is what we need to be doing. Cartridge, here we go. So we need a physics process chunk in here. Oops. Copy that. Oh, I'm in the wrong keyboard. That's why. Switching between Dvorak and regular. There we go. Okay. All right. Now it's going to move at least. It's probably going to move very slowly, but that's okay. We're just going to have to dial in the speed because I don't know what to compare it to. Uh-oh, I crashed it. Invalid type. Move and slide on kinematic body. Okay, what type is it supposed to be? Not kinematic body. Oh, well, it should be a kinematic body. Invalid type in function move and slide. Cannot convert argument 1 from float to vector 3. Oh. This is a float, but we mean it to be a vector. Right. Sure. So what I really want is the y vector. Hmm. I feel like this is an easy question for Godot, and I just need to Google it. Uh, let's see. So we're here, here, here. Okay. Cartridge eject position dot transform dot origin dot y. So we don't want the origin. Yeah. Something velocity to float. Right. Well, I'm passing it a float. I'm passing it a float right here. And I want to pass it the y vector um, of the transform. So I think maybe I want to do this instead of the origin. Let's just try that. I think that might be just the secret. I want the y vector um, of the transform, not the y position. Okay. Invalid index y on base transform. Okay. Yeah. Let's refer to the fine manual. Let's see. So y component of transform. Oh, trying to get my game to stop running. There we go. the yeah. Here it is. This is what we want here. Is the y-axis. That's probably it. Maybe like that. Let's try that. Yeah, I have no idea what the base is. I see that word all the time and I don't know. I have no idea what it means. Okay. See how this crash goes. Hey. Invalid get index y-axis. Okay, we're close though. I feel like we're close because here. Maybe it is to do with the basis. Yeah. Oh, you're right. It is the basis. You're right. Properties basis. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, it's basis. You're totally right. It's basis.y. That's what it is. So it's gonna be here. Now we might be talking. Uh-oh, I got the wrong magazine bug again. Don't worry about it. There's no bugs in this game. What do you mean? All right, there we go. And ta-da! That behaved very strangely, but there it was. Okay. Um, I I don't know what just happened, but it moved. It moved this time. Okay, let's restart in case that weird magazine thing messed us up. Okay, there we go. Okay. That's weird. It like goes slow and then it goes fast. Do I see where it went? No. It like it like kind of dribbles out. That's really goofy. Okay, let's try this real quick. Let me kind of rotate this so we can see what's going on better. This maybe. Did I not put that magazine in? I did. Is that not picking up around? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a very good point. I did not think about that. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Something's running into something. Well, and you know what? We also need to use the global transform here because you could see there, even when I turned the gun a different way, it's still ejected in the wrong direction, you know? So that might be part of my problem. But yeah, I wonder if we can fix that by changing the collision group of the cartridge. Let's see. Uh, cartridge. First of all, I'm realizing more and more a lot of my collision issues are in regards to the uh, this margin because I have such a small scale for a lot of these things. This margin being 4 centimeters is huge. It's like, uh, yeah. So anyway, that might be part of my issue. Where's my collision layer, though? Where's my, like, collision mask? There we go. Okay. So it's on the cartridge layer. And it's masked, so it shouldn't collide with anything else. Let's see. Let's see what we get now that we got the transform properly and we've removed the margin and it's on the right. Looking at the global transform now. Put a couple of those boogers in there. Okay. Okay. Nothing should have came out yet because we didn't have a chamber. Okay. let's try moving it around a little more. Okay. That seems about right, kind of. Okay, let's see. So what if we do like this kind of thing? I mean, that's not bad. I mean, they're just backwards, but otherwise, and we got to make him spin. We got to make him spin. Um, and they're disappearing. Well, because we probably want them to collide with the ground as well, right? So if we go environment, okay. Okay, hang on, let's do a couple things. First of all, let's make them not. We want to make them point the right way. So let's go back here and let's flip this around. There we go. That should be 180 degrees. Yeah. Okay. And then we want to make sure it ejects in the negative direction. Totally, yeah. I mean, I could throw this up on itch or something at some point. I definitely have nothing against people messing around with it. That'd be actually super sweet and helpful, so I should do it. 100%. So I think our 0.1 here is not bad. Let's do negative at this point because we want to do that. Yes. Oh, we're on wrong keyboard still. Do this. All right. Oh, I wonder if they're getting stuck in the guns hitbox. Okay, we also have some mistakes in our loading logic, but there it was doing the jittery thing again. There it was doing. I feel like it wasn't doing the jittery thing a moment ago. Well, that's going to be a puzzle. 100%. Yeah. We need a little work. We need a little work on the on the motion. Okay. See, that time it didn't jitter. It just went flying. Um, Okay, there it's no longer jittering. And they're facing the right way now. They're facing the right way. That's good. Right, I'm not convinced that they're traveling quite in the direction I want them to. Like, so like there, that's a good example. It's supposed to go off to the right and up, actually, and it's not doing that at all. So something's not quite right. Something's not quite right. I wonder if we get rid of the gravity. I wonder if we get rid of the gravity for a second, if that would teach us something. Let's remove the gravity. All right. I think gravity is kind of just overpowering everything else, so that's what I'm thinking. Let's try it without the gravity. Alrighty. Yeah, that's more like it. Okay, that's what we want. Yeah. Now they're kicking out in the right direction. Okay. So, a couple things. A couple things. Let's let's move the point of release forward a little bit because I think they're coming out and they're kind of clipping through the slide, and we don't want that. So let's look here and let's just go this way a bit with it. The direction looks good. The direction looks good, but it needs a much larger vector in the direction it's actually traveling. So instead of 0 0.1, let's multiply it by 10. Let's just do 1.0. See what that looks like. Get in there, you. All right. You're gonna come screaming out of there, probably. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Cool. Okay. And then we can add gravity back in, let's say. Sure. Yeah. Well, and what we can do in eventually, maybe very, very simply, is we can have it be a factor of how fast you move the slide back, you know? So if you just do this, you know, it'll just kind of bloop. But if you go, you know, really go flying. So now we've got gravity. Okay. Yeah, yeah. That's not bad. Let's make it spin and let's have a component be how fast you move the slide back. So here. Uh so here, if we go to the slide. Yes, yes. Get a little rotation going. Which begs the question, where's my origin here? In the middle. It's okay. They they really are gonna want to like rotate around the axis like here instead of rotating around this axis. You know? Like the pivot, I wish the pivot was here, you know, but each one makes sense in different contexts. Yeah, I have to think about that. It'll probably look fine. Or we could substitute a different model if it's tumbling that has the origin in the right place. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. There's some easy answers. There's some easy answers. Okay. Here, drag motion. And travel. Cool. Yeah, we can call it. We should really just call it slide.speed. Otherwise, slide. Or that wouldn't make sense. Okay. Cool. Now, percent travel is a number from 0 to 100. So maybe let's give that a go. Give that a go. And then we spin. As long as this isn't too off the rails. Okay, so we go really slow. Alright. Well, they're going the wrong direction again. I goofed it up. Interesting. Okay, let's hold off on that for just a second. Go back to what we had. It gets a little weird, I think, if we hold it at a certain angle and the only factor is gravity. Right. When gravity's working fine if there's a big enough kick in the other direction. If we do this plus one here, what if we do this? What if we say our y equals this, and then we just say, we can make this equation a lot easier to read. Plus times, you know, or even, sure, times y dot speed over 100. Uh, 5 maybe. Okay, math is hard. Let's try that. And then, even if it doesn't work, let's just make it spin, because that sounds fun. Hmm. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I can tweak that a little bit later. Uh, but cool. For now, let's do it. Let's do a spin to it. This shouldn't be too hard either, because if we go here, let's think about this. We want to spin it about the global y-axis. So just as a simple start, let's go back to our script here. Look at the cartridge. Well, if we spun it around the local y, that would be fine too. Okay. And then in the right file. Yep, we're in the right file. Process floating eject. Okay. Velocity, uh, rotation. Velocity y is equal to, uh, let's think in degrees maybe. So what if we say it's rotating at, maybe 10 degrees per frame, right? And then in the physics process, move and slide, and then y. I feel like this is a very naive implementation, but let's give it a go. Give it a go. Good question. I think I just copied it from something else I had. Um, because kinematic body would mean it could like interact with physics, right? To other stuff. Well, so we could make it a static body, a rigid body, right? So maybe rigid body is more what I mean it to be. Yeah, maybe it should be a rigid body. I'm not sure. I can play around with it. Because kinematic body means I'm controlling its position through the code, right? Which sometimes I am, because like I am when I'm dragging it like this. But then it's not interacting with anything with physics. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay. All right. Oh yeah. That's fun. That's fun. I like that. Okay. Uh, maybe spinning a little slower? I feel like it was spinning around a different axis that time. Spin faster? Yeah, maybe. Um, I I feel like the axis of rotation is not. I feel like it is using the global rotation axis instead of its own local rotation axis, and that makes it look funky depending on the angle that we're going, you know? It's like those almost looked like they were twirling like this, you know? Like wee instead of tumbling more like this, you know? Um, But the like I wonder if we go this way with it and have it more perpendicular if it'll look right. Oh, that's an interesting point. Right now I need to be dragging it forward. Ooh. Instead of dropping it forward. I'll have to move that code somehow. That's going to be the next problem. See, that looks right. That looks correct. Versus if we, let's say we go like this or something. That looks all kinds of funky. Okay, that's okay though. Yeah. I think I'm gonna take a break for now, but that's maybe where we pick it back up is uh we're gonna have to use a local rotation, which I can't imagine that's gonna be too hard. I think we can figure that out, no trouble. Um, but yeah, help me remember. That's right here. Rotate Y. Here we go. Pick up here. Use local Y rotation. Yeah, no, that we can do. Nothing too tricky. We can even commit our changes. Sweet. Very cool. Well, thank you very much for stopping by, and best of luck with all your Glock modeling and job applying pursuits. Have a good night there. Cheers.